Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nupehadda, and today I am showing you a deck profile and a replay of the most weirdest deck I ever had to face. Now, this deck profile is, of course, focusing on the Superheavy Samurais. This deck list is actually both a TCG and OCG cards combined, which DevPro allows you to play with both metas under a certain list. And this is a deck I've actually been focusing on myself because with the new supports that will come out, it's either the next set or the set after. It's pretty much this is the premises of what I'm going to be running. The only exception to this is that there is a tuner that came out on the internet for Superheavy Samurais that's a level 1, and he's not on DevPro right now because he's going to be in the what is it, the Dimension of Chaos or something of that nature, whatever the set name is. I don't remember off the top of my head, but whenever we do get that on DevPro, I will be reorganizing this and maybe taking a card out. But I'm just showing you quickly of what the deck lists that I was using when I was facing this opponent. And without further ado, I will show you the most weirdest deck I've ever faced. Now, you're going to be questioning, what type of deck is it, Matt? Well, I do not know what this deck is. The closest thing I can come up with is the meta's love child. And I am not exaggerating nor making a joke about that. This is pretty much what it is. And I'm going to be pausing and playing as much as I can to explain what the scenario was. And if I recall, I went first. So this is the opening hand I came up with. Wasn't a bad hand. Remember, I do not know what these are. So this is where the weirdness becomes apparent. And this is pretty much an opener for me because I need to go ahead and grab whatever I can from the deck. Superheavy Samurai Soul Piercer is a card that when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, it searches a Superheavy Samurai monster excluding itself. So that's how the first play goes. Now, when he summons this, the first thing I'm assuming that this is either going to be Light Swarms or something of that variant, or it could be the Twilight builds that I've been seeing recently. And I do not know anything about this, obviously, but this is the first assumption I make. He attacks, and I search for Battle Ball. Battle Ball allows me to take my opponent's monsters, tribute them off, and allow me to synchro summon into either the big guy or the semi-boss, as I like to call them. I am not pronouncing names. You want to pronounce these names, that's your fun and everything, but if anything, the idea that, if I remember correctly, was that I was going to summon him, take Raiden out of the equation, and bring this guy out. Now, the one interesting thing we got to remember, however, and this is what I believe I learned when I did this, is that you cannot use two tuners to bring out a synchro monster. The rules still apply to this monster's effect. So I cannot use tuner monsters to bring out the level 6 Super Heavy. He mails, of course. And as I said, I realized, because I remembered him being a tuner and this is what I went to, so I decided to go a different route. Drawing this was actually a good thing because, if I recall, as I said, I go into him. I don't recall what I grabbed. Oh yeah, that's right. I drew into him. Or no, I searched for him, Beacon. But as I stated, that gets blown up. I run him over, and at this point, my biggest worry is that he's going to get Judgment out and everything until he summons this. And this is where we add comments. I'm like, what is this? And he responds to the greatest deck of all times, or of legend. if I recall correctly. And of course, we make comments at this point, but needless to say that at this point, this is where the weirdness really creeps in. Because I do not know what I'm facing now. This guy is love. That's all I'm going to say about him, because he might look bad on, for most people, but once you see what I do here, you might rethink your strategy. What he does is, first of all, he can special summon himself from your hand as long as you have no spell or trap cards in your graveyard. I can tribute him off from the field to special summon Superheavy Samurais from my hand to my opponent's side of the field, and I get to draw that many cards for each card I sent to the field, up to maximum of 2 cards. So if I send 2 cards to his side of the field, I draw 2 cards. It is technically a -1, but the way this deck is designed, it's actually quite good because I get to draw power, and this guy becomes a little bit important if I recall. You gotta realize this is like 2 or 3 in the morning for me when I played against this guy, so certain things are going to be foggy with me, but hopefully this will refresh my memory. And then I proceed to normal summon this, and I target him because this allows me to bring him out. And this is where the fun starts. I grab his Manliest because, why not? Because this guy can steal spells and traps from my opponent's graveyard. And then, this is the other weird factor. At this point, I don't know what I'm dealing with. The weirdness has gone off the scale at this point for me, because I'm dealing with Light Storms. Okay, I'm dealing with Castell Knights. Now I'm dealing with Necros. What the heck is going on? And at this point, when he summons this, I activate Boundless. Because I have to, or else I'm not going to be able to do what I need to. And this is kind of a trick that I do when it comes against Necro players. I steal their spell cards from the graveyard, because I do not remember at this point which one it is that is the one that can banish stuff from the graveyard, so I'm just pretty much picking his grave from spells and traps that I can. He banishes this. I believe he banishes the Soul Pierce, and he banishes my big guy. Yes. And he kicks. Well, kicks. Interesting word, I guess. And I don't remember if I actually used him for anything in particular, but I do remember... No, I set that, because... he's pretty... Yeah. The weirdness is off the scale at this point. I'm pretty sure I saw... something, didn't I? But, I had to set this for particular reasons. One, I do not have a setup right now where I can actually go over him. And this is probably the best card in the world, because no one reads his effect. His first effect is that he can change his battle position whenever he's normal or special summon. His second effect is the important effect. He cannot be destroyed by battle. No one realizes this crap, and they always seem to attack him, assuming that he's going to do something. Now, this is where things get interesting, because I'm able to bring out my Synchro back. Still another one of his spell cards, because I do not, as I said, I do not remember what or which one it was. And then this is where it's like, you know what? I believe, I'm just going to believe now, because he's running Light Swarms. He is running Castell Knights. He is running Necros. He's running Heroes. He's running Shaddolls. And I believe he is running BAs as well, which stands for Burning Abyss. I might be wrong on that one, but at this particular point in time, I am believing anything he's thrown at me, because he brings out Construct. And I steal his spell card, so that way Construct can't grab it if I kill it. And I believe... yeah, he does not attack that, which I'm thankful for. But then again, I already activated Fire Soul. Now, I had to set this as well because I'm trying to set up for a decent play to where I can maybe get into Exciton Knight. Or maybe I can get into Castell. Or 101. I do make some misplays in this, but they're just minor misplays. They're not anything game breaking for me. So that was a fun scenario. And these will almost come important later on. And while Fire Soul protects my monster from being destroyed by battle or by card effect. So while he's doing that, I am stealing everything I can. Then grab Mirror Force. Which I do not know why he did not activate it on that. But you know what? Whatever. Get rid of Construct. And then I go into Leo because at this point he can't target it. And then I'm forcing him to use 101 or number 39 Utopia's effect so that way I can get around him. And this is where I activate Compulse again. And I'm just grabbing everything. Because I believe at that point he has no spell cards in his grave. Nope. So even if he does get a Construct and everything like that out again, I'm just going to keep stealing. And you're going to wonder why I did not use Leo to attack that or anything. I don't remember the exact cause, but I figured if I leave or if something happened to him at this point, I was pretty much going to be screwed, and it didn't seem ideal right now to attack him because I was actually fearing something like this, even though it would get rid of it. But as I said, this is like 2 or 3 in the morning for me, so my thought pattern on strategic strategies and everything was not at the best at this point. But this is where I tried to keep his field, keeping his field full of monsters so he could not summon anymore, and that's where this comes in, which I completely forgot. Which I'm going to learn real quick. However, on the plus side here, he can no longer target my monsters that are super heavy samurais without having to deal with Flutus. And as I said, I had to deal with that, so yeah, I'll see this in a moment, but when this happened, I did not recall Shadow Mist being in his grave. So once I saw that, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And this is where he does burn damage and everything. He returns all cards back, but these get banished, so I don't have to worry about it. Now, I do not remember at this point how I recovered. We'll see it here in a moment, but I'm pretty sure I just set that and ended, or I set that or summoned this, and blew up everything backfield wise and just ran him over, which I believe I said okay, because I don't know what I'm dealing with. And he's randomly banishing stuff. Okay, that's right. And the reason I did this was because if he does anything towards this, then I will be able to go into my deck and choose the 5 top cards and shuffle them anywhere I want them. And he's pretty much stops OTK moments. Because if they do a direct attack to me, I can banish him, reveal 1 card from the top of my deck. If it's a super heavy samurai monster, the monster attacking loses its attack points become 0, and I get to add that card to my hand. If it's a non-super heavy samurai monster, it just goes to the grave. Since my deck is full of nothing but super heavy samurai monsters, it's a guarantee that I'm going to make one monster's attack become 0. And I believe I go back into the mini boss with this. Yes. Blow that up. And I win. Weirdest deck I've ever had to face. I'm not kidding. Because it is one of those decks that you normally don't see at tournaments or at regionals or anything, because ideally it should never win. But after playing against it with the current top super heavy samurai list that I have, I'm sure there's better builds and everything, but I'm actually enjoying this build. I want this to come out to the TCG. But until then, I can't exactly play this deck until he comes out. He's an important factor. So unless he comes out in the next set or the set after as a TCG or OCG import and won the 90 to 99 set, I don't plan on running Super 8 Samurais in real life. I have everything excluding what the new supports are going to be and excluding this guy, and I think I need a second Battle Ball, but pretty much I have the deck. It's just certain things that are either not out yet exclusively in the OCG, or I don't have as many of. But this is the manliest deck, Super Heavy Samurais versus the Meta Love Child. The weirdest deck of all times. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Peace out.